the first thing I did was create my glue mixture. Now I just used Elmer's glue, but I used 4 parts glue to 1 part water. In this particular mixture, I used about 2 cups of Elmer's glue and a 1/4 cup of water, and it seemed to work out perfectly. I blew up 2 balloons, one slightly larger than the other, and began to soak ripped up newspaper strips in the glue and place them all over the balloon. I alternated between the newspaper strips and a solid colored tissue paper, a slightly heavier weight tissue paper, in order for me to see the layers and make sure that I was doing the layers evenly and completely. And I did about 6 layers on each balloon. So that's about 3 newspaper layers and 3 tissue paper layers. Then I hung it up to dry, and I just placed a piece of parchment paper between the 2 balloons. That way they wouldn't stick together when they dried. And I let it sit there for about 2 to 3 days to make sure that it dried thoroughly through all 6 layers, not just on the surface. On the 3rd day, when I was confident that the layers had thoroughly dried, I popped both of the balloons. On the smaller of the 2 eggs, I did not bother to peel away the balloon. I just made sure that there was no air left inside, but I didn't want to risk messing up my egg by trying to peel the balloon out of it. So I just covered up the hole with some masking tape, and it seemed to do very well. On the larger of the 2 eggs, that one I cut in half. And I just went all the way around, creating 2 bowl-like shapes, and then I just peeled the balloon out from the inside. I'm sorry I don't have footage of this. I did film it, however, filming this DIY over several days in several segments led to the footage getting lost for this particular part of the DIY. Next comes the paint. I chose to spray paint mine, however you could hand paint yours. Since I could not find a white with a pearlized finish, I ended up choosing a metallic silver for the main part of the egg, and then a metallic gold for the outer part of the egg. I started first by priming all pieces. For the 2 bowl-like shapes, I made sure to prime it both inside and outside. And then I covered the complete egg in silver, and then the 2 outer pieces in the metallic gold, again making sure to do on the outside of the egg as well as the inside portion, since you will be able to see both when everything is complete. Then you just let them all dry thoroughly before continuing. Now moving on to the top part. This next part I made out of clay. I realize it's a little difficult to see because I just used a previously made item, which meant mixing all the colors together. But essentially what I did was I rolled up part of the clay into a ball, flattened it out, and then made a little groove for the feathers, since the top part of it looks a little bit like an owl. And then I just made feather shapes with the other one, starting off by creating a ball and then rolling it in my hand so it came to sort of a cone shape, and then flattened it out, and then just took a nail ball tool and just kind of carved out the shape of it. It's very difficult to explain, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here, and you'll be able to see all the details more when we paint it. Then, following the directions on the package of clay that you've chosen to use, I just used a Sculpey polymer clay. Follow the directions and bake it. Then once it's completely cooled, we're going to paint it. Now comes the part where we put the pieces together. Now this part just kind of takes some playing around, but I grabbed a hot glue gun. I found that that was the easiest out of several different glue forms that I tried, and I angled them, the bottom pieces together, made sure they were wide enough that I was going to be able to fit the main egg in the middle of it, and then glued the hell out of it. Just kept adding more and more and more hot glue to it, and then kept it in place until it was dry. Then, after I was content with the two outer pieces, I then proceeded to glue the silver egg inside its casing. I started to hold it there until it dried, but then I got bored and just placed a piece of tape over it to keep it from tilting back and forth so that it stayed straight. I chose to just spray paint mine so that it would match the gold on the outside. And once that was completely dry, I just went in with a dark metallic acrylic paint to just kind of emphasize some of the lines and the lines and details in the feathers, as well as sort of emphasizing the look of the owl on the main piece.
Come seek us where our voices sound. We cannot sing above the ground. An hour long you'll have to look to recover what we took.
Once the paint has completely dried, then I'm just going to take the hot glue gun again, place some glue in the middle of the underside, and then press it on top of my egg and hold it there until it cools. Once that's secure, then I'm done.
An hour long you'll have to look to recover what we took. Your times have gone, so tarry not, lest what you